Hello, everybody, and welcome to Choice, Change, and Action podcast. So you're with me, your host, Simone Milasas. And you know what? I realized this the other day. I always say you're with me, your host, Simone Milasas. I did a podcast with somebody else ages ago, and they said, I listened to everything you did, and you never say your name, and I have no idea how to say your name. So ever since then, I was like, okay, I'll introduce myself, Simone Milasas, because nobody ever gets my last name correct, and that's okay. So I'm here, I'm at home, I'm in Prigian Beach. It's so freaking beautiful. And I'm joined today with Heather MacMillan. So
Hello again.
welcome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
hello again. But that's exactly right. It's hello again. If you have not listened to the first episode that Heather and I did on, I guess it's on the earth, and questions about the earth, etc., and exploring everything, then listen to that. That you don't need to listen to it to enjoy today, but you might want to have a listen to it as well. That was like part one. We had so much we wanted to talk about that we said, let's do a part two. So
Yes.
here we are, part two. We were both at Elugar last time, so now I'm in Prigian Beach, Australia. Where are you?
I'm currently at the moment in South Carolina.
In South Carolina. Do you live in South Carolina?
I don't. I'm visiting here for the weekend, so
No. Is it raining there?
no.
Huh, it sounds like it's raining. Let's pretend it's rain.
Soothing rain.
South Carolina is one of those places that, because, being Australian, you grow up with America very much in your face. It's in everything. I think Bono from U2, once commented that you can't get away from America. It's in your McDonald's, it's in your Coca-Cola, it's in your, like, all this sort of thing. And I know I'm naming those things, but it's true. You grow up with that and it's from America. But you also grow up with a very, California, LA, like this is where you go, Texas, like what all of this means. And then like something like South Carolina, it's like I've never been to those areas and I would love to go because I have this image of it. And yeah, I'll have to go one day.
Oh yeah. I mean, there have been some amazing access classes here years ago, and so it
Mm,
would be really cool if you came here, or
yeah.
Washington, D.C., where I call home. That would be very fun.
Okay, I have been to Washington. I went there when I was like 19. Um, yeah, it's one of the places, I put on the map when I was 19 and went to. I always remember walking along the wall. Is it the Vietnam Wall that they have everyone's names? That was quite a, and interesting enough, there was so much energy I received from it. And now after using access consciousness tools and being so involved in access for so many years, I get what I was aware of there as well. So yeah, I'll never forget that. It's funny. It's one of those moments that you're just like, oof, wow, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about the earth. I'm going to give it away to you, but to lead this, Heather.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful to continue this conversation because it was so much fun last time. And I'm really curious what's shown up for you with your awareness of nature and the earth since you returned from being at Elugar for so long.
um, okay, it's a good question, and it's something that I look at a lot. Like everyone goes, "Oh, are you happy to be home?" Like that is everyone says that, happy to be home, and I go, "Sure." Like I'm like, "Sure." I'm not like I don't have to be home, but I'm here and I enjoy it. And so, one of the things I acknowledge a lot is that the world is my home,
Mhm.
and I'm lucky enough to create all these different areas in the world that I do have a sense of like home, and I'm with the earth. Like Elugar is amazing. I'm going back there for Christmas, and it's the land, the noises, the sounds, the smells, the horses, the sense of peace is incredible. And where I live is Prigian Beach, and I live across the road from the beach. It's beautiful beach. Like people always talk about beaches around the world, and I think Australians can be quite snobby with this, but why not? It's sort of like the French are allowed to be snobby with their wines because they have great wines and champagnes, and great food. You walk across the road to my beach. I remember the first time I took Katerina Valentine there, and she looked at me and she's just had tears in her eyes and started crying. And I was like, "What's up?" And she went, "This is your front yard." And I went,
Mm.
"Yeah." And it's this beautiful, beautiful white, white, white sand. depends where the tide's at, you know, what the earth is creating. Sometimes there's lots of rocks in front, and it's quite a big surf. Um, so at nighttime, lying in bed, I sleep with my doors open. I sleep with the screens shut because of critters, same as Elugar. But have it open so I can hear the ocean. And like I said, depends where it's at. You can hear this like crashing, and as everyone is going to sleep, the waves for me get louder. Like I remember my PR agent said to me one day, "You do realize that the sound you hear when you're at home is that, like this is years ago, are the CDs I brought to send my kids to sleep. I could have just been recording the noises from your house." And I'm like, true story. So being here, my backyard also, I planted like this food forest, which I have a request at one point is to a project that I'd like to work on called 1 million backyard food forests, and for people to be educated that you can create a food forest no matter where you are, even if you're in an apartment, you know, you can grow something. And so I have 24 fruit trees and banana trees, uh, and I separate them because the banana trees are actually not there for bananas. They're there for a natural water tank because that's what a banana tree will do. And so I have all of that. So sitting in my backyard when I get home, I'm listening to the ocean. And I was just talking to you about before we went live was the lorikeet birds. I live on Lorikeet Drive, and you get these lorikeet birds who are just so beautiful. They're so colorful, and you get a huge amount of variety of birds in Australia, by the way. I'm lucky enough, I actually don't have crows. Crows are the really, really loud ones. But there's a different contact with nature that I have when I'm in Australia. And then I think there's a different connection and engagement with nature no matter where we are. And I noticed that Elgar is still available to me even though I'm here, and Australia and the land is still available to me no matter where I am in the world. I'm a big lover of deserts. I love the desert, and the Australian desert is one of my favorites. So I will always connect myself with a place called Uluru. It's this big, massive red rock in the middle of Australia, and it's like they say it's 550 to 650 million years old. And one of the things that, if there's that like angst in my world, or like that energy where you just, I wouldn't get overwhelmed anymore, but it's that like, oof, wow, there's a lot on. I literally just tap into Uluru, and there's so much chaos and creativity in it that it relaxes me. So I would use nature, and I use everywhere I am to create that relaxation in my body and in the projects, business, everything, every area of my life. I would use nature to contribute to like my choices every day, and I'm super grateful for it. I do not take it for granted at all. I'm so grateful that I've created these places around the world, you know. And one more thing I want to add is the space. There is a space that nature gifts you. I heard the other day someone was saying to me that their ex-wife used to, when they went out in nature, go, "Oh, it's so boring. There's nothing to do here." I was like, "Wow!" Like yesterday, I had all these errands to do, and in where I live in the Sunshine Coast, there's a lot of, you know, you drive from one place to the next, and there's bush and trees and land, and you know, every now and then you might see a kangaroo or something like that. So, and it's been raining a lot, so it's super green. And I'm driving around just going, wow, I could be on a horse going over there, up that hill and through these. And and I was in my head, I was like, God, I could just sit there and just be with the trees, you know, be with the grass, be with the sounds, be with the, you know, the sun. It was really sunny, like be with all of that. And to hear somebody say that they get bored in nature, there's nothing to do, I was like, wow, acknowledging the difference that we be. So if you're listening to this and you way prefer to be in nature than people, maybe you're one of those people who actually never gets bored because you're always entertained and you're always willing to receive what the earth and what nature has to gift you.
That's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful you touched on the creativity piece because I was just listening on Access Me, to a business done different class that you did 2 years ago online. And you spoke so much about the earth and creating with the earth and for a future in that class.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if there's just anything that you would like to say about that.
Yeah, okay, so I had a conversation. So we just completed a 6-day event at Elugar, which was amazing. Gary Douglas, founder of Access Consciousness, and Dr. Dan Here were facilitating it. And it was like, never give up, never give in, can't remember, don't quit, ask a question. Now, I spoke to Gary the other day and I said, hey, throughout the class, there was a few times he would mention something like creating more consciousness on the planet. And a few times Gary mentioned about, his demand of himself and request was to create more consciousness on the planet and to set people free. And it really just sat with me. And I'm like, I mean, I've been using access consciousness tools now for 25 years, and so much has changed for me and so many others. And every day I have that sense of being more content, more at ease, more joy, more of me, and way less judgment. I think I spent a lot of my life judging myself and my choices rather than just enjoying my choices. And I asked him and I said, hey, what is consciousness on the planet for you? And he said, more people acknowledging that we need to think different. We need to choose something different here so that we can, create something different here on the planet. And then I asked him about the people, and he said, it's like, because we spend so much of our lives trying to fight for what we think is right, and judging what is right and wrong rather than just being free. And I do get the earth is asking us to be in communion with it and be free. For me personally, a big step in creating that freedom is coming out of always having to be right. Like, I definitely one of those people growing up. It was like, how do I control something? How do I force something? How do I, be right? And whether that's in business or money or my body or relationships or anything, it's like, trying to prove that and avoiding freedom. And I have been working diligently to change that, because I notice when I don't choose control and I don't choose force and I don't choose rightness, which all of these are answers and solutions and create havoc, and havoc is a destructive energy, rather than, invite the chaos and be in allowance and have gratitude for myself and be in question. That is more the energy, well, that is the energy of chaos, and that chaos energy is more about being in question. And that's how I see nature functions. Now, I also watched a program on Netflix the other day, getting my bars run, and I'm going to forget the name of it. I think um, I keep saying it's something to do with the planet. Let me just Google. Oh yeah, it's Life on Our Planet, and it's the one with Morgan Freeman as, doing the voiceover. And it's wild because they don't just talk about, last 100 years, 1,000 years, or even million years. They talk about what we know of how the earth was, 350 million years, 600 million years, 35 million years. And you look at that, and I was laughing going, tell me your money problem. Like, tell me your Dios mio, whatever you've decided is your, entertainment for today, the problem that you have. It's like, it's absolute bullshit that we create when you look at the power and potency of this earth. I mean, at one stage, we didn't even have oxygen, and how it created oxygen and how all the different phases it's gone through. And the earth is not judging us at all. It's like, okay, you do you, boo, that sort of thing. And we have the choice to choose something different, to take a different action. And I honestly think taking that action is coming out of having this reality entertain you and start out creating yourself every day and choosing something beyond this reality. Now, it's not about judging this reality or dismissing this reality, but if you look at everything in this reality, it's designed to gaslight you. You know, whether it's from being a 16-year-old, you know, we used to get a magazine here called Dolly Magazine, you know, and I'd get that religiously every month. But religiously every month I would get it. And in hindsight, I would look at the front cover, I would look at every article, and I would be in a constant state of judgment of what I was not, rather than who am I? Like, what can I be here on this planet and on this earth in this lifetime? It's like how many people in this lifetime are trying to get it right by this reality, you know, like the right job, you know, how at school, your parents, you know, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's a judgeable offense, what's not, what is not judgeable, you know, all of this, rather than being in question of like, what are you here for? And I'm not kidding when Gary said one day, what if the purpose of life is to have fun? I got so angry at him because I went, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I've had all these conversations about what I'm meant to do here. Am I meant to, you know, help the whales, or, you know, the dolphins, or the poor people, or something like this, you know? And he was like, what if the purpose is to have fun? And I sat with that, and I really looked at it, and I was like, oh, what if the purpose of life here is to have fun and to be able to laugh at everything that we choose, and to choose something different in every moment. Like every nanosecond, you get to choose something different. And the power and potency in what you can be today, you're not acknowledging that. Like, what can you be today? Like, recently, apparently, Trump has signed an agreement with Australia that they can start mining in the Pacific Ocean. It hasn't started yet, but they've signed an agreement to say that it could go on at any time, right? And I'm like, dude, what can I be that would allow this to change? You know, and I used to look at all these things, and it was more about the fight. And I'm literally like, what can I be? What can I be? What else is possible? Let's talk about that as a question. This is a tool that we have in Access Consciousness. What else is possible? I see hardly anyone truly being in question, because you're like, what else is possible with this? What else is possible with the ocean? What else is possible with this? Like, which is only a demand of something. It's not truly stepping into this energy of what else is possible. And for me, the earth, the energy of it, has no judgment of what next. It's like just the that energy of like, what else is possible? Like, if you watch this show, the life on our planet, and see how much it's changed and all the changes that occurred. Like, we don't have dinosaurs anymore, right? They're extinct. But during that time, it's like, what was the earth like? It's like all the ice age, you know, all of this. And if you have a look at this, it's like there's an energy of how the earth never judged anything, but was in a continuous, what else? What else? What else? So even as something like this, with Trump and the Australian government signing this, you know, agreement, okay, what else is possible? What else is truly possible? And not having that place where it's coming from judgment, where it's truly coming from question. For me, that's where the magic and the miracles and the chaos are. And we're refusing to be that. What if we could choose that?
Well, and I wonder what nature and the earth is trying to tell us about being a question, because it was so fun to hear the lorikeets in the background when you started to ask what else is possible and what can I be here.
With Access Me, you can literally have access consciousness in your pocket. And the best part, you choose how much. There are 3 different subscription options, whether you just want to dip your toes in or have full access to over 25 years of classes. Go to access.me and start today. You know, okay, so I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but if I did, oh well. As I mentioned about being, you know, right and da da da. So with my body, I have done that a lot over the years. Is sort of like, I've had a sore foot, right? And today was the first day that I woke up and my foot wasn't sore. And Gary said, yeah, and I bet you're going to go for a run. And I said, actually, I'm not. I asked my body, and it's like, no running yet. Like, I like running, and I haven't gone for a run in a while because I've had this sore foot. But previously, I would have gone, okay, it's better, let's run. Da, da, da. And I would never been in question with my body. I was always in the more the force and control and the rightness. And my Pilates instructor, who's absolutely brilliant, she said, what if you ask your body to show you in a different way? And instead of like creating pain, and I went, okay, body, what if you showed me through nature? And there's this one day in my house, and I went to go choose something, and this bird, because I have birds everywhere, but this bird just made an extra special sort of noise and kerfussle and everything right outside my kitchen window that it made me go look. And I looked out my, because I had to lean over, looked out my kitchen window, and there's this bird sitting on the fence and just like looked up at me. And I went, ah, thank you, got it. And I was like, do you guys get, like, people would go, oh, that's a coincidence, that didn't really happen. I'm sorry, it happened, okay? I created that, nature created that. You are in communion with, oh, how many of you are not willing to acknowledge how in communion you are with animals and with nature and everything that is? Times a godzillion. We destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, POVADs, creations, bases, and beyonds. And that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which you can find out more at theclearingstatement.com. Like, I know that bird was going, hey. And another way that I look at this too is look where you are and what goes on in your world. So for me, when I'm in Australia, you know, our friend Dr. Dane here has snakes, and you know, Gary was talking about how, you know, he can talk to the snakes. And the other day I was like, huh, I know I can too. Every time when I'm in Australia, it's like snakes are very prevalent in my world. But where I live, across the way, there's a whole, it's called the dunes, just before, like, so you cross the road and you've got dunes, which is just like bush and then beach. So you walk through a pathway there, and there's snakes in there. They're close by, right? I'm in Australia. I live in Peregian Beach. I don't live in Sydney in the middle, you know, I live where they are present. And I've noticed when I travel, I don't quote unquote think about snakes, but when I'm around here, they're in my awareness. It's like they're just there, you know. And the same thing with Delugar, it's like what comes into my awareness there as well. There's different animals. So even just take a moment, all of you, and just where you are right now, just shut your eyes for 10 minutes and ask, okay, what are the animals around me? Like, and what are they asking for? Because they're also trying to connect with you. They don't have a point of view if you do or you don't. But what if you could connect with all the animals around you? And it's like, and be aware of that. And then when you go somewhere else, it's like, ask, okay, so what animals are around here? You know, what is the earth asking of us here? What is the earth asking of us here? And pretty much the earth's always asking you to receive and not judge.
Wow, I'm so grateful you mentioned that, because as soon as I landed in South Carolina today, my tummy has been a little intense, and I've been wondering, like, what am I aware of with the earth and the land here? That
So what are you aware with the earth and the land then?
rain, and maybe some rain would like to come.
That's so funny, because when we started, because it literally sounds like your background noise a little bit sounds like it's raining when I said, is it raining? And you're like, no. Okay, so let's ask for the rain to show up.
Yeah.
And you can do it like this. So right now, Heather and I are going to like tap into the energy of where she is. And because you can be a weather mage, and some of you are great at being a weather mage, and some of you that might not be your capacity. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. But let's right now just ask for the rain to show up where it's meant to show up. And what I'm going to do is just like, you sort of, I put my hands up and just sort of get the energy, because there's an energy. As soon, if you've ever done anything like martial arts or Tai Chi or anything like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like the energy that you start to perceive. So, and if we ask the universe, and it's like, please, you know, show us some rain. Thank you for everything you've been. Don't forget to use your manners. And it's like, and show us some rain in South Carolina. And I sort of just get the energy and go, okay, everything that is, you know, 1, 2, 3, and just you just sort of blast it, play with it, okay, play with it. And here's the thing about access consciousness too: the weirder it gets, the more I go, fuck yeah, that created a change, you know. Like, I'm a snow mage. If I want it to snow, it snows. And it's hilarious because I remember being in places like Stockholm, And I got there and there was no snow. And I was like, I'd really like it to snow. Woke up in the morning and the whole city was covered in snow. And everyone was like, Simone, because if you live in Stockholm and the snow's gone, they're all like, oh, great, now we can get around much easier. And I'm like, but look how pretty it is. I love it.
Well, I remember being at a 7 day in New Zealand where there was snow at the chateau, and the sense of peace and the joy that all the Australians had with the snow. I just remember the kids going on and playing and all the laughter with that. It
Yeah,
was amazing.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here's something too. Where are you looking at something as annoying or frustrating or something you have to avoid rather than actually receiving it? I mean, at that is time to godzillion, right? No, getting back, Pocket Pod, all 100 shorts, boys, POVADs, creations, spaces, and beyond.
Well, and that was one of the questions that I had for you today is what are these ways that the earth is communicating with us that maybe we're not acknowledging? And what are some different ways that we can be engaging that would create more? And here we did these two kind of fun
Mhm.
exercises. So
Well, let's add to it. And because I don't have an answer for what that is, and every single one of you receives in the way you receive. Okay. Like we have five senses, is what we're told. But I'm going to ask you, do you have more than five senses? I get yes. Like, and one thing, guys, any podcast that you listen to and anything I say, don't trust me. Okay. Don't trust me, trust you. If something I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, don't buy it. But don't avoid it either. If you start to go into resistance, ask yourself the question, what am I resisting? Because if you truly claimed, own, acknowledge your capacities, the infinite possibilities for you here on the planet, in this lifetime, in this amazing body, would it be too much chaos? Would you be bored? Like, what are you currently choosing where you're actually choosing boredom rather than that beautiful magic and the miracles that is available for all of us? So I think I spoke about last time doing the meditation walk, and that's something that you can choose. And just stop for a second. Like, even if you're like, so yesterday when I was driving, as I said, I drive a lot when I've got to go to different areas. It's a lot of the times you're driving on a a road that's going through bush, right? Land. Don't turn the radio off. Don't listen to anything, and just be as you drive, and just ask, what am I aware of? Even pull the freaking car over and just stop for a second and just be there with the land and ask, okay, what am I aware of? What can I receive from you today? What can I contribute to you today? And play with it. Like, the ocean. I'll quite often just go across to the beach and just have my feet in the sand, and then, enough that the water comes up and sort of, goes over your feet and your ankles, and just be with that and just sense it. Like, how often do you take your shoes off and I don't care if it's snow, how often do you take your shoes off and just be with the climate that is there? Like, perceive the energy of the earth and go down, because most people, okay, so two things. Most people only look at what they can see. What I'm asking is, what else are you aware of? So, two, down and up. Okay. So, another home play, it's like go out, and if you can, it's like just take your shoes off and have your feet on the ground, even if you can lie on the ground, right? And ask to just, like, as you lie there, ask to perceive like 1 meter, I don't know, that's 3 or 4 feet down below you, and be with that energy. And what do you notice? Do you hear anything? Do you smell anything? What's the energy you're aware of? And then once you're being with that, go down 5 meters, 10 meters, 100 meters, go down 1 kilometer or, 2 miles, whatever it is. Like, you play with it because I'm using the metric system. And what are you aware of? Like, do you get how intricate beneath us is, and how there's such an ecosystem below us that creates forests and creates the engagement and the communication? Like, every tree is engaging with each other. They're literally engaging with each other. can you hear it? What can you perceive? What is it asking for? Like, just be with that energy and see what shows up. Now, the other part is go up, because most of the time, like how we've created our civilization is at nighttime, maybe you're going out to dinner or something like that, but at nighttime, you're generally going inside and you've got a roof over your head. We forgot to connect with up. Okay. So if you can, go outside. Is it a full moon? Where's the moon at? Can you see the stars? Or is it cloudy? And if you can, lie outside. Like, we're going to Illaroo next year for another class called The Source and Sorcery with myself, Gary, and Dame. And we literally, I'm not kidding, I looked at where the full moon was. Because if you go out into the desert and it's a full moon, it's bright. It's like the biggest light that you've put on, right? And you can't see the stars. And Dane wanted to be able to see the stars. He's got all these gadgets and everything to be able to look at them, in a different way. So about 2 weeks after the full moon is a really good time to go check out the stars. So the class is around that time. So I'm, lying out there and just looking up. And if you can go to a place that has, what I call like big sky, because there's no buildings, etc. It's like this big, big sky. And look up and ask, what are you aware of? Ask to engage with the stars, with the planets. Now, that's our solar system. What are you aware of with our solar system? Now go even further. What are you and your body aware of with the entirety of the universe, with the solar systems beyond our solar system? Like, we literally have, what's it called, exoplanet, that we don't have the capability of really looking at what is on those planets, and yet there are planets who have the same climate as what Earth does. So is there another civilization beyond? Like, and it's not about making anything significant at all. No form, no structure, no significance. If you make it significant, you literally stop what you can receive. For me, I started to look at like the black holes that we have, and science says, science says, science says, science says. I want you to do something and just tap into the energy of the black holes in our universe. Has science said that they are a particular thing because they don't know how to define them? Now, what if they were filled with magic and miracles and mysteries that you could access? Like, where are you not accessing everything you could be accessing because you're so busy entertaining yourself with the rules and regulations of this reality? And everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, POVADs, creations, bases, and beyond.
Wow, that clearing is amazing. And it makes me wonder about, all these magical places that we've been talking about, Elgar, where you live, Uluru, I throw in the castle, like other places where there is the magic, the miracles, the mysteries seem so prevalent.
Yeah. Let's mention let's look at the castle, because the castle it's called Casa Borgoni and it's in Italy. And we'll put notes in the show notes, links in the show notes and everything as well. And that's a castle that a bunch of us invested in it years ago. And it's so beautiful and so stunning. One of the things Gary was very adamant about was there will not be any, electronic music. And I'm so grateful that he did that. There was a stage where I was, because I love listening to music, and I was like, and then I got it. When you get there, you get it. I mean, we're having actually at the end of January, I'm doing a 3-day body class with David Kubis at the castle. It's selling out fast, so if you want to go. But on the last night, on the Sunday evening, we have a gala dinner, and anyone can come to the gala dinner. And we will have some music, but we will have, there's people who play string quartet or, piano, etc. So we have live music, and live music seems to create a really different energy there. I'm sure, Heather, you've done exactly what I'm about to say. I have spent hours just sitting in the gardens of the castle and just being, you know. So a lot of the times I'll be like, oh, I'll take my computer out there or a book out there and I'll go, I'm going to go work out there. I'm going to go do this. And you start and then you just be like, oh, okay, it's just about being. And there is I mean, I'd love to hear your description because there's mountains in the background. It's in a village, so you can look over the castle walls and you can see houses and everything. So it's not like it's there's nothing around. There is, but the space I get is literally undescribable. It's like a big hug. That's probably my best description. So what is it like for you, Heather? Because I know you've been there.
Yeah, I mean, and there's those trees, the trees out
Oh,
front,
the trees, the two trees. Oh,
and they're just so present with you. And the first morning I was there, I arrived and I filled up the bathtub in the room I was staying in, and I just
which
was out.
room? What room were you staying in?
It was the one across from the Brolia. Is that the Amelia suite where the
Oh, the Amelia,
tree?
the red room.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
and
can
that
just,
tree is just there.
yeah, and you can be in this beautiful bathtub just being with the tree.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
was, and like you said, the gardens, everything's so alive and so nurturing. And there's the silence where you can hear the birds and the leaves, and you can kind of hear your own creations, your own questions. Like you can really ask there, like, what would I like my life to be? And there's such a palpable energy of that there.
Oh, I just got shivers. Yeah. And as you taught, that's a really good description. And it's like like see if you can find somewhere in the world that you have that sound of silence. Because in the sound of silence, there is so much.
Well, one question I'd love to wrap up with today, speaking of silence, is, in terms of the earth and nature and our bodies, how do you wrap up your day? Like, is there anything that you ask, or any kind of thing that you do at the end of the day to honor the earth and your body?
Um, Thank you so much for asking that question. And I might start choosing something different because I think you asked me in the last one what I do when I wake up. And I'm really good at when I wake up of honoring me, my body, the earth, the day, the future, the creativity, the all of that. Okay. That's how I wake up. So thank you for this because at nighttime, because you wake up super early. And so, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, I'm like, I'm out. It's like don't try and put me on a meeting or anything like this. So actually what I tend to do is that's when I would like watch Netflix or do something like that or just relax, right? And so, and guys, here too, it's like if that's something you choose, don't judge it because I see a lot of people judging that, oh, now I'm spending time on. Sometimes you just need to sit on a couch and binge watch something, okay? Like what is it giving you? Because for me it's like the relaxation. But recently I noticed that I would whatever I was watching and then I would go to bed and I would dream about it all night. So I started going, okay, I was treating myself like a kid. Okay, what do you call it? Screen time ends at this time. But what I did start doing ever since I've been in Delugar, because I really Delugar, it's like I would just really enjoy like reading something. So what I started doing is turn off my screen time. Don't judge myself if I have it on, but turn off my screen time. And instead of because I am definitely one of those people, if I look at Instagram and I can get, involved in the reels, my algorithm is horses, some fitness health stuff and recipes, right? And so I can just watch horse videos like over and over again. But it's not, it's I notice when it's to a detriment and it's not to something that's actually creating something greater for me. There's a lot of people I follow who I watch and I gain so much awareness and knowledge because horse people always have different points of view. So I listen to all those different points of view and then put into action and see what works and what doesn't work for me and the horses I ride. And I also know, and if you're listening to me, you also know the energy of when you take it too far. And there's a moment if I'm scrolling or something like that, I don't get to go to sleep that easily. Like I don't find that the melatonin that was kicking in has now gone, hang on, what are we meant to do? And so what I've started doing too is I read. And I'm reading this book at the moment called Kilkari, and it's about this guy. It's out in the outback of Australia, and it's actually based on a true story. And this guy that he met just during when Berlin Wall came down, and he met this guy when the Berlin Wall came down. And anyway, he comes out to Australia, and they go on a journey in the outback, and it's the discussions between them and what they observe, etc. And I'm in love with Australian land. Um, the land here is incredible, and it's always so nurturing. So I'm reading this book at the moment, and sometimes I might read a couple of chapters, but sometimes it's like a page and a half, and my body goes and out. So for me, it's something I work on to, even though I'm done by the end of the day, it's like, what relaxation can I choose for my body? It's more about how do I relax with my body. I also have an infrared sauna. So quite often, if I have an infrared sauna at night, it's like my body's like, okay, time to go to sleep after that. So I actually don't, yeah, that's probably my engagement. Something I need to work on. I like that though. Having a chat to the, because I've got so many trees around me, having a chat to the trees and the earth around me as I go to sleep. I'm going to use that. Because do you know trees actually sleep?
Ooh, say more.
They sleep. And so with the waking up with nature is more my jam, I would say, because a lot of the times if you do wake up with the, like in summer in Australia, the birds start 4:35, you know, like in Elugar, the howlers start at that 4:35 sort of thing. It's literally as like the noises that the birds make, etc., and the animals make is literally like an alarm clock for nature, because trees do sleep. So they're like, as they start to make noise, like, or the whole of nature is just like, okay, time to get up. And that for me is such a cool energy to be in.
Like truly magical.
Mm, yeah. Yep. How does it get any better than this? God, you and I can just talk and talk and talk about the Earth
Yes.
and the planet. Yeah,
And all its
me too.
magical creatures.
Yeah, yes, and all its magical creatures. Actually, what I'm going to suggest too is wherever you are in the world, what if you had access to, you know, more of the magical creatures just by request? And there's a story that I have when I went hiking in it was not last year, I think the year before, and I was in Europe, and one of my classes got cancelled. So I had this week free, and I was like, what do I do now? And I was in Rome in Italy, and I went, oh, I think I'll go to Croatia, and I'll go to Apatia, Croatia. And I hadn't been there before. So I didn't know anything about it, which I love traveling when you know nothing about something. And no one was going to be there that I knew. I had an Airbnb. So I arrived at the Airbnb, and I was hungry, and I went, okay, I can see the sea. There's going to be restaurants down there. Let's just walk down the hill, find some food. Found epic restaurant, great champagne, sat there with this beautiful view, amazing waiters and waitresses, all of it. It was incredible. Then I was picking up my car the next day. Okay, where's that? So you have to be in question. Okay, now I need to go to the supermarket. Where's the supermarket? So you're constantly, because you're not just getting in your car going, oh, I've got to go get groceries. And I implore you all, go somewhere you've never been before and just function from being in question. Okay. So as you do this, and the other thing I enjoy doing is hiking, and there's a hell of a lot of hiking around Croatia. But usually I hike on my own here in Australia. But if I'm somewhere different, I realized I didn't really go out hiking on my own. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go on this hike. And I looked at all these different hikes, and I drove there. And as I got out of the car, there was a few people, starting to hike. And, I think it's a very European thing when they have the poles to hike with, right? And I was like, nah, I don't need a pole. So then I just start hiking, and there's no one around. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm, hiking up this mountain and around and, following the signs and everything. And I was really present because I wasn't hiking with someone. And I found that really interesting because I was like, why would I not be this present? Because I always knew that this friend of mine, because I actually hike with a friend of mine a lot, in particular, and I knew he would always look after me. I was like, why would I not just choose to be so present and be so aware of my body and the ground and where I'm hiking and everything myself? So it was really cool awareness to have. And so I'm hiking and everything. I just had this sense like I was like, God, I'm so surrounded by something. And I was walking going, what is this? And I was like, it has this sense of like fairies, you know? And fairies is not something that I didn't grow up being a little girl wearing fairy costumes and stuff. It just wasn't my jam. But I was like, there's something here. There's nature spirits, there's fairies or something who I had this sense really had my back. And then we get up and then I decide to turn around and, come down. And then as I was coming down, I was like, oh, that's why they have the poles because it's quite a full on hike, So I'm like having to get down on the ground and use my hands to like get around certain areas. But it was incredible. And it had this level of intensity to it as well. And I get down and I see this section that has all these different, posters and signs up about the area. And I thought, I'll go read up about, this area because they say that, since the 14th century, there's been people living here and blah, blah, blah. Then I read this one thing and it says, this area is known to have fairies in it. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, how many places do you go hiking in the world and there's a sign there that says there's fairies here? I mean, did it validate what I knew? Sure. But it acknowledged something even greater. It's like we are so much more in communion with the earth than you're willing to acknowledge. So again, if you can, go do something just with you and your body and nature. There's a level of presence that you seem to have when there's not another being around. Choose to go with beings, okay? But there is something that you gain when it's just you and the earth. And what if you could gain that also, no matter who is around? That's what I became one of my requests is like, okay, what else is possible? Let's be this present no matter who is around. Let's stop avoiding this level of presence and this level of awareness and this level of acknowledgement of the earth and what's available to us and my body. So that.
Wow. And I'm so grateful because as you're talking about it, it's present here with me in this hotel room in Charleston, South Carolina.
I love it. How
It's
does it get any better than this? Yeah, 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 yeah. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in the middle of New York City, London. It's like you can tap into this energy if you choose. Oh, wow. That's so interesting. I just like, it's like, so even right now, it's like, as you're listening to this, like we're recording this and it's me and Heather and the earth and the birds, and you're listening to this when you choose to listen to this. But will you now receive from the earth like you've never received before? What is it asking for? What's it telling you? What's it showing you? What can you be? And everything it doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive it, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, POVADs, creations, bases, and beyonds. And I also want to say thank you to every single being in the world who is actually being this energy, because this is the energy that I get is so required from all of us. Yeah, thank you. How does it get any better than this?
How does it? I'm so grateful. Thank you so
Me
much.
too. Me too. Thank you so much, Heather, for being here. Thank you for everyone who's listening. Please share this. Let's let's get out there and change the world. Let's create the freedom in our worlds. And what can we be with the earth today? This is a really good way to start the day. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you so much. Enjoy South Carolina, and I think I'll see you next year.
Thank you.
Unless you're coming to Elugar for Christmas.
Soon after.
Soon after. Okay. Well, I'm going there for Christmas, but I'll be in Australia and just in time for New Year. I arrive at like 10:30 a.m. in the morning. So my sense is I'll be asleep by like 6 p.m. going into 2026. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Please enjoy your day, enjoy your choices, and we'll see you next time.